The freak-off sometimes lasted days at a time, involved multiple commercial sex workers, and often involved a variety of narcotics.
Mr. Combs forced Mr. Jones to recruit prostitutes and required everyone to sign NDAs, which Mr. Combs referred to as love contracts, to ensure that his sex trafficking ring remained a secret. I've had to turn down $50 million 4 times just to keep my integrity. You have to decide if you're going to be a part of the gathering or not. Child, the details on this one are something else, because it turns out Diddy wasn't just running parties and doing his dirt behind closed doors. He had a whole system in place, a legal operation designed to buy your silence, your dignity, and your rights as a human being for as little as $10,000. And these weren't regular ND, as these were weaponized contracts built to trap you. And the worst part is this didn't start with Diddy. The entire entertainment industry has been using this exact same playbook for decades to silence victims and destroy anyone who dared to speak. And now that the receipts are finally hitting the courtroom, everything is starting to make sense. So, as most of y'all know by now, Diddy is currently sitting in a federal facility in New Jersey, serving a 50-month sentence after being found guilty in July 2025 on 2 counts of Mann Act violations, which is transporting individuals across state lines for the purpose of prostitution. His legal team is currently appealing, the sentence calling it overly harsh. But let's keep it real, y'all. 50 months for what this man did to potentially hundreds of people over multiple decades is already a slap on the wrist compared to what he deserves. And while the trial itself was a bombshell, the thing that really cracked this whole operation wide open wasn't the arrest or even the 1,000 bottles of baby oil they found during the March 2024 raids on his mansions in LA and Miami. It was what was buried inside the Rodney Lil Rod Jones lawsuit. Now, for those of y'all who didn't know, Lil Rod was a music producer who worked closely with Diddy, and in February 2024, he filed a lawsuit that read like a horror movie script. Buried inside that filing was the first detailed public description of what Diddy personally referred to as his love contracts. And these were not optional paperwork, y'all. These were a condition of entry into his world. Lil Rod stated in his lawsuit, and I'm quoting directly, Mr. Combs forced Mr. Jones to recruit prostitutes and required everyone to sign NDAs, which Mr. Combs referred to as love contracts, to ensure that his sex trafficking ring remained a secret. Now let me break down exactly how these contracts worked, because the details are what make this truly disturbing. Before anyone could enter one of Diddy's infamous freak-off parties, they were presented with a contract. The terms were specific. You agreed never to discuss Combs' private life, the freak-offs, or any illegal drug use you witnessed in exchange. You receive a signing bonus of approximately $10,000. And if you ever break that agreement, there were liquidated damages, clauses buried in the fine print that would require you to pay Diddy millions of dollars for a single breach. Now I need y'all to really sit with that for a second, because what that means is Diddy was using poverty as a weapon. He knew that the people at these parties were not millionaires. Most of them were aspiring artists, young women who were flown-in workers and associates who needed the income. And he was handing them $10,000, knowing full well that the threat of owing him millions if they ever opened their mouth would keep them silent permanently. One person on Reddit said it perfectly. The $10,000 was just the down payment on your soul. If you signed that, you weren't a guest, you were a witness. And someone on Twitter called it the most diabolical rebrand of a gag order in history. And Lil Rod was not the only one who described this system. Cassie Ventura's lawsuit, which was filed in November 2023 and settled within 24 hours for a reported $30 million, described a mechanism of total control. Her legal filing stated, Combs exerted total control over Ms. Ventura, including her ability to speak to others, and used a network of employees to ensure her silence. She didn't use the exact term love contract, but what she described was identical: you shut up or we destroy you financially, legally, and professionally. Then there was the anonymous plaintiff, identified only as Jane Doe, in a 2024 civil suit, who said, and I quote, "I was told that if I didn't sign the paper, I wouldn't get paid for my time and I would never work in this town again." And that threat right there is the sentence that connects Diddy's operation to something much bigger than just one man. Oh, but it gets worse, y'all, because when you start looking at how other predators in the entertainment industry operated, you see the exact same blueprint being used over and over. Harvey Weinstein used NDAs with liquidated damages clauses that required victims to return their settlement money and pay additional millions of dollars if they spoke to journalists or even their own therapists. R. Kelly used what he called confidentiality agreements that barred young women from contacting their families or discussing anything about what he referred to as the household, and in every single one of these cases, the mechanism was identical. Find someone vulnerable, make them sign something they don't fully understand, and then use the threat of financial ruin to make sure they never tell anyone what happened to them. And that is exactly why the Speak Out Act that was signed into federal law in 2022 was such a critical piece of legislation, because it made pre-dispute NDAs unenforceable in cases involving sexual assault and harassment at the federal level. California went even further with its Silence No More Act, which banned ND, as in settlements involving all forms of workplace discrimination and harassment. But here's the thing that keeps people up at night: those laws only apply going forward. They do absolutely nothing for the people who signed Diddy's love contracts before 2022, who are still technically bound by them and who are still afraid to come forward because they think that piece of paper means they'll owe Diddy millions. Now Diddy's legal team responded to these allegations, and their official position is that these were standard confidentiality agreements common in the high-profile entertainment world to protect a celebrity's privacy from tabloid exploitation. They claim the contracts were never intended to mask illegal acts, but legal experts, including attorneys who specialize in entertainment law and sexual abuse cases, are not buying it at all because, as multiple lawyers have pointed out, an NDA signed under duress or designed to conceal criminal activity is legally void. It doesn't matter what the contract says. If the contract was created to hide a felony, it holds no legal weight in any courtroom in this country. And this is the part that makes the whole system so evil, the threat of a multi-million-dollar lawsuit is often enough to keep a victim silent, even when the contract itself would never survive a legal challenge. And that is the real genius of the love contract. It doesn't need to be enforceable, it just needs to be terrifying enough to work. And then there's the question that everyone keeps coming back to the tapes, because during those March 2024 raids, federal agents seized firearms including 3 AR-15s with defaced serial numbers, ammunition, a drum magazine, more than 1,000 bottles of lubricant and baby oil, and what prosecutors described as thousands of hours of recorded video footage. But here's what's still unresolved. Only a small fraction of that footage was actually presented during the 2025 trial, which means there are potentially thousands of hours of evidence sitting in federal custody that the public has never seen, and the question nobody can stop asking is who else is on those recordings. The 2024 indictment specifically referenced co-conspirators who helped facilitate the freak-offs, but as of April 2026, no additional major celebrities have been charged alongside Diddy. The Lil Rod lawsuit did name several high-ranking bad boy executives and personal assistants who allegedly handled the logistics of the contracts, the drugs, and the travel arrangements, but the so-called Diddy list that social media has been obsessing over for years remains officially unconfirmed by federal prosecutors. Cat Williams saw all of this coming years before the rest of us when he sat down with Shannon Sharpe in January 2024 and told the world all of these big deviants is all catching hell. It's up for all of them. It don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is, the every all lies will be exposed. And Jaguar Wright, who has been screaming about this for years, said something that really stuck with people. The NDAs are the only thing keeping the industry from collapsing. Diddy didn't invent the love contract, he just perfected the love trap. Someone on TikTok said 1,000 bottles of baby oil and a 10,000 NDA. That's not a party, that's a crime scene with a budget, and a YouTube comment captured what a lot of people have been feeling. We need to stop calling them NDAs and start calling them accomplice agreements. If you took the money, they own your silence. As usual, people had their own thoughts about this, and the consensus across every platform is the same. The love contracts were never about love, and they were never about privacy. They were about control and dominance, and the fact that this system operated in plain sight for decades without being exposed tells you everything you need to know about how money and power work in the entertainment industry. But now, I want to know your thoughts. What do y'all think about Diddy's $10,000 love contracts? And do y'all think the people who signed them should be legally released from those agreements? Now that he has been convicted, y'all knew what to do? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, and don't forget to click here to watch this other very messy video.